Happy Halloween, everyone. The ghosts are out, the pumpkins are glowing, and it's time for one last frightful hurrah. Thank you for sticking with me through this magical October journey. From eerie tales to festive myths, your support has made it unforgettable. If you missed any of the thrills, check out the Halloween playlist. It's packed with treats, tricks, and a few surprises. Stay spooky, and see you soon. Welcome to Bedtime Myths and Mysteries. Tonight, we wander through the crisp autumn air, through streets washed in pumpkin light and the faint perfume of smoke. The wind tastes of apples and dust, the sound of distant laughter rippling like water through the trees. The houses glow like amber stones, each one a small beacon against the gathering dark. Behind every door, a story waits, ancient, unbroken, and full of wonder. For the ritual we call trick-or-treating is not merely a game of sweets. It's an echo of centuries of belief, generosity, and fear. It's the last surviving ember of something older than memory, a night where the living shared their warmth with the dead. Long before Halloween took its familiar shape, before candy corn and costumes, there was Samhain. It was the turning of the year, the end of harvest, and the beginning of winter, the time when the world fell quiet and the land slipped into its long sleep. To the Celts, it was not a night of horror, but of awe, when the veil between the realms grew thin. The spirits of the departed returned to wander the earth, seeking warmth, guidance, or revenge. Fires were lit on the hilltops, bright and defiant against the darkness, and people danced around them to keep the cold and the unseen at bay. Villagers left out food and drink at their doors, hoping to appease the wandering dead. It was not kindness, it was caution. A hungry spirit might bring blight upon the crops or illness upon a family. So bread, apples, and bowls of cream were set out, glistening in the moonlight as offerings to the invisible. The Celts believed that the boundaries between this life and the next blurred so deeply on Samhain night that even time itself seemed to stutter. To walk through a forest on that night was to feel watched, as if the trees remembered your name. When the Romans came, their festivals of Pomona, the goddess of fruit and orchards, merged with Samhain. Apples became symbols of the harvest, and games like bobbing for apples survived as playful remnants of these old rites. Centuries later, as Christianity spread across Europe, the old gods faded, but their shadows remained. The church sought to reshape these rituals, overlaying them with the holy calendar. In the 9th century, All Saints' Day, or All Hallows, was established on November 1st, and the night before became All Hallows Eve. The fire festivals were rebranded as vigils for the souls of the faithful departed. Yet even under this new name, the people continued to mask themselves, light their lanterns, and roam beneath the moon. Thus began the practice known as souling. On All Hallows Eve, the poor and the devout would walk from door to door, carrying small wooden lanterns carved from turnips or gourds. They sang and prayed for the souls of the dead in exchange for soul cakes, small round buns marked with a cross and flavored with nutmeg, cinnamon, and dried fruit. The cakes were gifts of charity, meant to ease the suffering of souls in purgatory. In England and Ireland, children would recite rhymes. A soul, a soul, a soul cake. Please, good mistress, a soul cake. 1 for Peter, 2 for Paul, 3 for him who saved us all. In return, they received the small golden cakes, sometimes apples or coins. The act was part prayer, part play, a bridge between the sacred and the human. But where light gathers, shadow follows. Not everyone who knocked was a beggar or a child. There were tales of the soulless, spirits trapped between worlds, who imitated the living, going door to door in search of offerings. Some villagers whispered that if you refused them, your hearth would grow cold, or your crops would fail. So they gave, even in fear. The thin smile of superstition hid beneath every gesture of kindness. In the Highlands of Scotland, guising became the word for disguise. Children and young men wore animal skins or ragged clothing, painting their faces with soot. They would travel through the village, performing songs, jokes, or little plays in exchange for food. To refuse them was bad luck. To welcome them ensured fortune for the coming year. In these revels, we can see the seed of the modern trick or treat, a bargain of performance for reward, a shadow of ancient contracts between the living and the dead. By the 16th and 17th centuries, the practice was still alive, but changed. The prayers grew shorter, the costumes wilder, and the mischief stronger. Bonfires still burned on the hills, but their meanings blurred between religion, folklore, and fun. In England, the celebration of Guy Fawkes Night on November 5th, marked by masks, effigies, and fire, blended further with All Hallows. Children begged for a penny for the guy, carrying scarecrows through the streets, a carnival of smoke and laughter. And then, as with so many old customs, the ocean carried it away. When Irish and Scottish immigrants came to North America in the 1800s, they brought their songs, their jack-o'-lanterns, and their ghosts. Pumpkins replaced turnips. They were larger, easier to carve, and glowed with the same amber fire. The story of Stingy Jack followed close behind, the man who tricked the devil and was doomed to wander the earth with only a burning coal inside a hollowed gourd. On stormy nights, they said, his light still wandered across fields and bogs, the original jack-o'-lantern. In the New World, Halloween adapted to its surroundings. The old superstitions softened into merriment. By the late 1800s, Americans celebrated the night with parties, apple bobbing, ghost stories, and parades. Yet, the element of mischief remained. Children played tricks, tipping over outhouses, soaping windows, or tying door handles shut. Newspapers began to call for a safer alternative. Treat the children, they said, and perhaps they will spare your home. By the 1920s, trick or treat appeared in print. In small towns across Canada and the northern United States, children began to roam door to door again, echoing the medieval solars of Europe. Only now, instead of prayers for the dead, they offered cheerful rhymes. Trick or treat, smell my feet, give me something good to eat. The phrase held a strange symmetry, half charm, half threat. And so, the ritual was reborn, shimmering with the ghosts of its former selves. World War II briefly dimmed the practice. Sugar rationing made candy scarce. But when peace returned, so did abundance, and Halloween surged into the golden age of candy. Companies like Hershey's, Mars, and Brache's began marketing specifically for October. The glowing jack-o'-lantern became an emblem of safety and festivity. Costumes shifted from handmade masks to store-bought creations. Witches, cowboys, movie stars, astronauts. Yet even then, the deeper rhythm remained. The doorbells ring, the exchange of gifts, the ritual greeting. It was still a communion between households, between strangers, between worlds. Listen closely, and you'll hear echoes of older voices in the laughter of children. The rustle of costumes is the whisper of spirits in the cornfields. The flicker of every pumpkin light recalls the fires of Samhain burning against the dark. And when the night grows cold, when the last child's footsteps fade, and the leaves whisper down empty streets, it feels for a moment as though the veil might lift again, just enough for a soul to find its way home. In some rural places, traditions still survive. In parts of England and Ireland, people bake soul cakes on All Hallows Eve, wrapping them in cloth and leaving them on windowsills. In others, lanterns are carried to cemeteries, where families gather to share food with the dead. In Mexico, the Dia de los Muertos blooms with color and reverence, altars covered in marigolds, sugar skulls, and candles flickering beside photographs of the departed. It is not a night of fear, but of reunion. The same spirit that once guided the solars through darkened streets now guides families to the graves of their ancestors. Trick-or-treating, too, carries this memory in its bones. It is more than candy. It is community, remembrance, and offering disguised as play. The child at your door, wrapped in costume and laughter, is performing an ancient rite. They knock not only for sweets, but for connection, for the small sacred act of being seen, welcomed, and given to. For one night each year, every home becomes a shrine of generosity. The modern Halloween is a tapestry woven from countless threads: pagan fires, Christian prayers, Irish folklore, American imagination. It reminds us that history is never truly lost. It simply wears a new mask. The same courage that once kept the hearth burning against spirits now keeps the porch light on for children. The same offerings that once fed the dead now feed the living. And the same stories that once frightened villages now enchant the world. Even the symbols we take for granted are layered with meaning. The black cat, once sacred to the goddess Bastet, and later feared as a witch's familiar. The skeleton, a playful echo of mortality. The pumpkin, a vessel of spirit light. And the candy itself, bright and fleeting, a symbol of life's sweetness in the shadow of decay. To understand Halloween is to see how joy and death, laughter and darkness walk hand in hand. And perhaps that's why it endures. It allows us, just for a night, to look into the void and smile, to welcome the mystery instead of fearing it, to say, yes, we know what waits beyond, and still we celebrate. Children laugh beneath the same stars that guided ancient fires. Parents stand watch as their little ghosts and witches drift from house to house, unaware that they are part of something eternal. When the night is nearly over and the last door closes, a hush settles. The streets empty, the moon grows pale, and the lanterns flicker like tired eyes. Somewhere, a candle burns down beside a window. Somewhere, an old story ends, and a new one begins. The souls have been fed, the living have shared. The year turns once more. So as you lie in bed and listen to the wind outside, think of the footsteps of those who came before. Pilgrims, peasants, children, souls, all walking the same path through centuries of shadow and light. Trick-or-treating is not merely a child's game. It is a bridge across time, a soft echo of faith and fear and love. The knock at the door, the exchange of gifts, the laughter drifting into the dark, it all began as a promise that the living would remember the dead, and the dead, in turn, would watch kindly over the living. Thank you for listening to Bedtime Myths and Mysteries. If you enjoyed this journey through the haunted roots of Halloween, remember to subscribe and let the ancient fire keep burning in your heart. For every tale told keeps the darkness gentle, and every story whispered keeps the dead at peace. Until next time, sleep well, and may your dreams be sweet as soul cakes.